Every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 12 to 1.
Hey guys, this is Lexi Rodriguez, former Husker and now League One volleyball athlete. League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with our first serve on January 24th, 7 p.m. at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Ralston. Witness history in the making as we take on Love Madison in our first ever home match. Visit lovboma.com for tickets. First serve January 24th. Be there when it all begins. That's lovboma.com for tickets to watch Love Omaha Volleyball. Go Big Red and go Big Green.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henry's at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just the professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known, but what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. A show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty. And when he's awake, you haven't taken a nap in a while, right, Jake?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks.
It's been at least a day. Producer Jake and I have a whole lot of fun in the process. You're going to hear Husker football, Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. All right. We're going to give our final thoughts. And, I mean, let's be clear. We may not be done in the transfer portal. We may be done for a while. We may be done. I don't think we're done entirely before next football season. There's going to be things that happen. But we're going to give our final thoughts on the offensive side of the transfer portal class here today. All right. And see what Jake thinks, see what I think. We got 7 players currently. All right, Pete, the New Mexico State offensive tackle. Have we heard anything up to date on him? Jake, anything new that I'm not aware of at this point?
Not anything that I've seen. Of course, there were initial reports that it was down to Nebraska in Michigan, but here in the last couple of days, it seems like Kentucky has jumped in as well.
So someone told me yesterday that it was Kentucky and Nebraska, with Michigan maybe falling to 3rd. I'd also heard from a credible source a couple days ago that it seemed like Nebraska was out of it. And then you hear Nebraska's maybe at the top of it. So we'll see. All right. Today's pretty much the last day, I've been told, to enroll at classes in Kentucky. So maybe we'll get an announcement today. Maybe we won't. And again, just a reminder, December 28th was just when you had to be in the portal or 5 days after your last football game. It doesn't mean you have to commit by then. You can commit anytime. Obviously, you've got to be enrolled in the school if you want to practice in the spring, which you would think would be very, very important. So you would think there wouldn't be a whole lot of additions, after the next couple of days or so. But remember, Zaire Wright joined us last summer. So there's going to be other portal additions throughout the rest of the year before next August or the last week of July when fall camp rolls around. But for now, we're going to give our final thoughts based on what we currently have on the offensive side of the transfer portal class. Nebraska Volleyball. So the Connecticut women in basketball and Nebraska Volleyball, those are the only two women's sports teams in college sports. And as we know, a year ago, Nebraska Volleyball was the only women's college sports team that actually generated money. Okay, but this year, or the information that has come out this year is, let me see if I can find it here. The only two women's collegiate sports teams to generate positive revenue and things of that nature are Nebraska women's volleyball and the Connecticut women's basketball team. All right, and you look at Nebraska women's volleyball, they generate $2.57 million in ticket revenue in 2022, 2023, which was more than nearly 24 Power Conference men's basketball teams. So we're going to discuss why. Why is Nebraska volleyball different? And actually, former Nebraska volleyball coach who joined me a couple of weeks ago, Terry Pettit, put something out on Facebook. I thought it was quite interesting. So we're going to look at that as well. If we have time, and we're going to make time, a little bit of dive into Nebraska women's basketball, going into Iowa, getting the win in overtime, beating Iowa on their home court, breaking a 6-game losing streak, coming back from down 11 points with 6 minutes to go. Unfortunately, on the men's side, had a lead early on versus Rutgers, but did not successfully hold on to that lead. And unfortunately, our 20-game home winning streak at PBA is over as the Rutgers Scarlet Knights come in and beat Nebraska 85-82. But before we dive into some said things, Carriker's Trivia Challenge. Can't forget that. This is the first week we've ever done it twice in 1 week. All right, so Carriker's Trivia Challenge is back. It's the same number, but I just like making Jake say it. Call this number. What is that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
I love the way you say it. Such conviction. All you got to do is call in. All right. Didn't it used to be they had to beat me? But then...
Yeah. Sometimes it depends on how you want to do it. The winner could just be the caller, or you could play for the people. And if you win, then the people win, and they get a call in.
So we don't do Carriker's Trivia Challenge every day, but we do a prize giveaway every day. So I think it got a little bit convoluted in my own mind. Like when we don't do Carriker's Trivia Challenge, just call in. We'll bring you on air. I make up a random trivia question for you on the spot. But just the fact that you called in, you win. But on Carriker's Trivia Challenge, you actually have to beat me is the way it used to be. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I need to clarify these rules here, Jake. I need to get them straight in my own mind. Here's what we're going to do. All right, call that number, call in. We will bring you on air. We will do a regular Carriker's Trivia Challenge. You get 3 questions. I get 3 questions. We'll see who gets them right. If there's a tie, I think Jake finally came up with a non-crap tiebreaker that doesn't put me at an extreme disadvantage. Did you successfully come up with a non-crap tiebreaker?
No, I kind of like the one we have.
We discussed a different one yesterday. Have you not implemented that yet?
You're like 7-2.
You finally got my record right. Thank you for that.
Well, so I don't think it's too much of a disadvantage for you.
Here's what we'll do. Call in. We'll iron out the details as we go on. All right, call in. Here's what you're going to get. $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street here in good old Lincoln, Nebraska. Call in. You will win your prize, but we'll bring you on air. You'll get 3 questions. I'll get 3 questions, and we'll see who comes out the victor. All right, let me know when we get a caller there, Jake. In the meantime, I actually forgot to talk about this yesterday. Literally put it in the headline. I get home after the show. I guess Ohio State football just isn't at the forefront of my mind. But there's an Ohio State football player who got kicked off the team. You've probably seen this. I was supposed to talk about it yesterday, so it wouldn't be such old news at this point because 24 hours later, it's like ancient news at this point. All right, but I should briefly address it now since I forgot yesterday. Ohio State walk-on and TikTok star Caden Davis has been dismissed from the team ahead of the national championship game. And he's got like 250,000 followers on TikTok. And it's I don't know. It's a bunch of he said, she said, rumor and innuendo. The headline was Ohio State football player kicked off the team, and it came out the week before the national championship game. Now, it seems like this may have happened before. Again, we're not going to dive too much into this at this point. Basically, he posted on TikTok a bunch of photos because Ohio State was in the Cotton Bowl a year ago versus Missouri, if you remember that, and they lost. He posted photos from the Cotton Bowl a year ago and tried to pass that off as this year's Cotton Bowl, like he was putting out current content. All right, but if you read some of the comments, his own teammate or former teammate, offensive lineman George Fitzpatrick, currently in the transfer portal, commented, and I quote, "You don't play here," end quote. So I don't think he was on the team, but I think he was trying to create content, and he was trying to pass off previous year's Cotton Bowl footage as new footage, all right? And then other people have chimed in. He said he left the team of his own volition. He put out a whole statement. Ohio State football's in his blood. All right, but other people have chimed in. Caden Davis continuing to lie about the OSU football situation as comedy. Okay, and then they make a joke about some other things I won't read on air. But here's what it kind of seems to come down to, and then we're going to move on because it is rumor and innuendo, other than the fact that he's not on the team. All the details, we don't really know. But there seems to be, you know, he wants everyone to believe he made it of his own accord. No, he left the team of his own accord. Nobody really knows for sure. All right. It seems to be like there were some other things going on. But a walk-on football player having 250,000 followers, posting false content, getting kicked off the team the week before the national title game. It was just kind of intriguing and interesting to me. I don't know. Have you seen anything about this, Jake? What are your thoughts on this? And then we'll move on to our transfer portal players.
Yeah, I saw it, and I didn't, look too much into it. It's just, it makes you wonder, does he get a ring? He's been on the team for...
No, you don't get a ring. He got kicked off.
But he's been on the team for all but
that's
a week and a half.
That's asinine.
I don't know about that. You're
going to give him a ring?
I'd give him a ring, yeah.
I'm going to give you a different type of ring. All right. I don't know what that means. It just sounds bad. Let me know when we have a call. Again, call in. What's that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
Get a $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions and play yours truly in Carriker's Trivia Challenge. In the meantime, let's look at this transfer portal class. Now, you're probably aware of this. Currently ranked the number 6 transfer portal class in the country. Been that way for a while now. All right. The classes that are ahead of us, LSU. Ole Miss is always up there. Texas Tech, which kind of surprised me, but they're doing some things. Auburn and Florida State's trying to revamp a whole bunch of things. Nebraska at 6. It sticks out to me that we're ahead of Texas A&M, a school that spends a lot of money, won more games recently. All right, we're ahead of schools like Oregon, who has a ton of money and has definitely won more games recently. Miami's in there as well. We are the top transfer portal class in the Big Ten. Ahead of Colorado. I don't know. It's interesting with Dion. It's got to be hard for him to recruit right now until he comes out and says, "I am Colorado's head coach." He said it in the past, but he hasn't really addressed the Cowboy rumors or anything of that nature specifically. But you look at our offensive side of the ball. We have brought in a ton of skill guys. Dane Key. I've talked about this before. Kentucky's top wide receiver, a guy who could have entered the NFL draft, probably been a top 3 round pick right now. He's obviously trying to up his draft stock. All right. And for me, Dane Key's the most experienced receiver that we have. He's talented, 6'2", 190 pounds, and his average yards per catch was about 15 yards per reception. So he's a guy who can create separation on a team that couldn't create any separation a season ago. All right, you got any thoughts there on Mr. Key, Jake?
Yeah, I hope he's a big addition. I think he is the big addition on this wide receiver unit. Just a couple touchdowns last year. Hopefully he can kind of fire back. But, he's got several seasons of being Kentucky's top wide receiver. And you just talk about a guy with, I'll just say, just a lot of pressure coming in here to live up to that hype. We saw kind of, Isaiah and Aaron Banks again have whatever type of success you would like to say, but hopefully Dane Key can kick it up an extra notch and maybe block on the perimeter as well.
Yeah, block on the perimeter. Let's just start with that. I think that's what frustrated me so much last year. Isaiah Nayor, Jamal Banks. These were 2 guys who were all conference type players previously. Nayor was at Texas, got hurt, but at Wyoming, all conference Mountain West. You had Jamal Banks, I think it was honorable mention or third team all ACC. They come here. They've got good size. We're not getting separation. We're not catching deep balls. We're not even blocking, even though you're small tight ends out there going against 180-pound DBs. So to me, what that tells me is there was just a lack of buy-in on those guys. And again, it comes back to play calling and certain things that we've already addressed and hopefully are much better going forward under Holgerson. But I do think that plays a part of it, a true freshman quarterback who actually played pretty well. But all other teams had to do was go man-to-man, lock us down, and then blitz us a ton because the offensive line struggled to consistently protect. We couldn't beat man-to-man. And, like, they really weren't that worried about Dylan running. He had a couple of times he took off. It really wasn't that hard, especially the first 9-10 games of the year, to limit our offense. We need guys like Dane Key, Isaiah Hunter to come in and make other teams scared to play man-to-man. We really do. We need guys who can create separation down the field. And this is a guy who wants to raise his draft stock. You look at Kentucky, I think they won 4 games last year. They really struggled at the quarterback position. So I guarantee he's coming here looking at Raiola, looking at Holgerson. We got a new wide receivers coach. And I guarantee he's trying to up his draft stock, obviously help Nebraska win games. Look at Isaiah Hunter. To me, he's kind of similar to Key, got a little bit more speed, in my humble opinion. He's a younger guy, 3 years of eligibility left. As a freshman, I've said this before, led Cal in 3 different receiving categories. That means you're clear-cut their best receiver. Sometimes you have a guy who leads in receptions or yards or touchdowns. No, he led in 3 different receiving categories. So we have Kentucky's former best receiver, Cal's former best receiver. I see these guys who you expect to come in and make an immediate impact. You look at Hardley Gilmore. Now, he was 17 a year ago. He was banged up, all right, didn't play a ton. But what's interesting is I know for a fact, had Jalen Lloyd still been here with Ja'Cory Barney, with Key, with Hunter, they still would have brought Gilmore in. That's how much they like him. He's a little bit smaller, 6'1", 165, got 3-4 years of eligibility left to play, 4-star coming out of high school. This is a guy that I have been told the coaches are as excited about. I don't want to say more, but as excited, possibly more than anybody else they brought in. Now, the immediate impact, we'll see, because he doesn't have the proven history just yet. He's still a young player, but the long-term ceiling for this guy is as high, possibly higher, than any receiver we brought in. And I think we brought in a lot of guys with a lot of talent. You got Ja'Cory Barney already on the roster. And you got other guys in that receiving room as well. So let me see here. Those are the 3 wide receivers we brought in. I didn't miss anybody when it came to wide receivers. Did I, Jake?
No, they were in on the Houston wide receiver, but he went to Texas A&M.
Yeah, did I address that? Yes, I did. I addressed that. So he was going to walk on in January. This is a little bit more of a crowded receiver room than what A&M's got. They could give him a scholarship. He has better chance for early play time there at A&M, so he's going to Aggie land. So best of luck to him. You look at the 3 guys we brought in. You look at Ja'Cory Barney coming back. I mean, don't just dismiss anybody else in that room either. Play time has to be earned. You have an anticipation, but then you've also got to go out and earn it. I would look at the 2 receivers we brought in last year. Maybe they didn't earn it so much, but also we didn't have other guys that could push them consistently either, which now I feel like we have. There is a wide receiver room where we should have great competition for playtime. It's hard not to give the wide receivers that we brought in like an A. I don't know how you don't give that an A. You look at some of the other guys we brought in on the offensive side of the ball. I'm actually going to go. All right. Marcos Davila. Did I say that correct, Jake?
I believe so.
So this was a 4-star coming out of high school, went to Purdue. He's a freshman, 6'3", 235, quarterback. He's now here. We have struggled with quarterback depth at Nebraska, oh my God, forever. Like our starting quarterback almost always gets banged up at some point. And I don't think Dylan Raiola missed a game last year, but he was banged up. The year before that, it's been a long time since we've had a quarterback who hasn't been banged up and missed time, and then we've struggled for depth. You look at our quarterback room now. You got an experienced starter coming back. You got Marcos Davila as a potential top backup. Jalen Gromstad as a potential top backup. The NAIA Player of the Year, 6th-year player, lots of experience. TJ Lateef, a talented freshman coming in. He started practicing with the team during the bowl game, so he's going to be here throughout the spring. You've got 3 guys battling to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th on that depth chart. So another room filled with competition, and there's a very reasonable expectation that we should have solid depth in that quarterback room. I like bringing in All right, Marcos to create and help with some competition and depth in the quarterback room as well. All right, you look at the, it's interesting. Running back kind of hasn't been talked about a ton. Obviously, Emmitt Smith's the starter. We got Quentin Ives. We got a couple of freshmen coming in. We got some other guys in that room.
Emmett Johnson, by the way.
What'd I say?
Emmitt Smith. That's what Terrell says that all the time.
Ooh, Emmitt Smith. Almost as good as Emmett Johnson.
That's right.
Yeah, there we go. Emmett Johnson. Sorry, misspoke. Emmett Johnson's the clear-cut guy. We haven't even brought in a running back. Not even a visit. We brought in like 30, 40 guys for visits. Probably more at this point. The last time I looked, it was about 35. Not one running back. Which surprises me, but it also, not to even just look at one, but it also tells me they really like what they got in Emmett Johnson, which we already knew. It also tells you they like Quentin Ives. This is a guy that Matt Rule's brought up in press conferences for a couple of years, to be honest with you. And then Dana Holgerson brought him up in the pre-bowl press conference in December, about a week or two before the bowl game versus Boston College, said he's played great. I get the feeling Rule, Holgerson like Quentin Ives, and they plan on, at least for now, them being our 1-2 punch. My thing is, you've always got to have 3 running backs you trust. So is there another running back in that room that they trust that we're not talking about just yet? Because you got to be able to rotate at least to a certain degree to keep guys fresh at the running back position. And then if somebody ever gets banged up, you got to have that third back that can come in and be part of a 2-back. And I'm not saying you have to rotate constantly, but you can't just expect a running back to take every carry of the freaking game. So you need 2 that you trust, and you need a third in case somebody gets banged up, and you still need to be able to rotate a top 2. I don't know who that third is. Maybe there's somebody that they're eyeing later on down the road. Maybe there's somebody in that room that we're not aware of. Or maybe they see it differently and they got 2 they really like and they're calling it good. What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
Well, it's fascinating, especially for a staff that 2 years ago lost 2 of their best running backs or 2 of their top running backs on the same day in a game that they were going to win either way. So, I mean, they know that this depth could happen. Depth problems could happen. Does make you think, maybe they really love Jamarian Parker coming in, Mekhi Nelson coming off, kind of sitting out this year. But I think it's interesting to track and note as well that, and Sean Callahan does this, when this conversation gets brought up, is that if you redshirt as a running back at Nebraska, that just generally hasn't translated to great careers. Usually, if you're going to be a good enough running back, you can help in some way as a true freshman. That doesn't mean write off everybody, but that's just generally the case.
All right, Connor Booth. Who's the other true freshman we're bringing in?
I just said his name, Jamarian Parker.
And is he the guy that we about lost on signing day? Isn't that him?
That might have been. I can't remember. I remember there was somebody that was.
They were like right leading up to the press conference. Rule's like, sorry, we're a little bit late. Somebody else was basically trying to get him. I feel like it was him. It may have been somebody else. But my point is they maybe they're expecting one of those 2 guys to be able to contribute and be that third back. Again, you never know what you're going to get out of a true freshman. But you're right. There's not a lot of tread on the tires as far as longevity of career when it comes to running backs just due to the nature of the position. Everyone's trying to take your head off. So it's hard to do that for a lengthy amount of time. So for me, if you're not on the field in some way, shape, or form as a true freshman, unless you're hurt, it's not the end of the world. But most guys, they're trying to get to, I'm just going to be blunt, they're trying to get the NFL as soon as they can because they know the longevity of a career of a running back is shorter than probably any other position on an entire football team. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see how that plays out. Then we got 2 special teams guys. I'll throw them in with the offense because really there's only 1 offensive guy left at this point. We had 9 defensive guys, 5 offensive guys, and 2 specialists. So Jack McAllister, Kevin's younger brother. All right. Thank you. All right. Redshirt junior here. So he's got some years of eligibility left, but he was the starting punter for Washington, if you didn't know this already, for the past 3 years, starting as their punter versus Michigan in the national title game. He's a very good punter. He's going to do a good job. I'm very excited to see what he can do. Maybe the most underrated transfer player in this entire class, Kevin Gallick, the long snapper. All right. He was an FCS All-American as a long snapper. And if you ever thought long snapping was easy, you didn't watch our football team last year. If you ever thought snapping was easy, you didn't watch Alabama 2 years ago. And I can say it now because he's a Pro Bowl center. Cam Jurgens, when he was first learning, showed, hey, talented guy. We're going to be one of the best in the world, but this thing ain't so easy to snap and try to block a 350-pound guy or 300-pound guy right in front of me. Now he's a Pro Bowler. He's doing all right. Maybe a Super Bowl champ at the end of this year. But Kevin being brought in is incredibly important because the order of operations starts with the snap. The snap, the hold, the kick. Especially on field goals, PATs, which we had 6 blocked this year, and then you got punts. A lot of that was due to protection or lack thereof or a breakdown in miscommunication in our punt protection. But that's a big one right there. All right, let's get to the O-line. Elijah Pritchett. So he was, when he came out of high school, according to 247, the number 1 offensive tackle in the entire country. Now, different recruiting publications will rank guys differently. According to 247, he was number 1. Already talked about a lot of this other stuff, so I'm not going to belabor it. What I will say is his ceiling is through the roof. Dylan Raiola, Elijah Pritchett, Williams and Warray, Dawson McCullough. There's other guys that you can throw in this. The Ja'Cory Barney. I'm not going to try to list every single guy because then you don't list somebody and they get their feelings hurt. My point is, when you think about the guys on this team who have the highest ceiling, if anybody walking around, Pritchett's name's got to be brought up. Has to be. Now, he's also a player with a little bit of a lower floor if you pay attention to his stats from a year ago. He wasn't the least consistent offensive lineman that Alabama had. He was inarguably their least consistent offensive lineman that Alabama had a season ago. So I said it before and I'll say it again. The talent is there. The ability is there. Now, I have been told by folks in the know that it takes a strong personality to coach this dude. Like he's got something to him. And if you can channel it in the right direction, he can be a monster. If you don't, I don't want to say it can cause problems, but it can inhibit him from being anywhere near as good a player as he could possibly be and potentially cause distractions. That's not what we want. It's not what we're rooting for, just keeping it real. So for me, this comes down to coaching. This comes down starting with Corey Campbell in the strength and conditioning room. All right. I think Pritchett had an issue with the Alabama strength coach. I don't anticipate having any issues. By the way, Corey's great. And it comes down to Donovan Raiola. What can he get out of him? Is he the guy that can focus his attention and his natural abilities in the right direction? Is he the coach that can do it? Honestly, we need another offensive lineman, whether it's the tackle, whether it's Pete, the New Mexico State guy. We'll see if we get any news on that today, whether it's an interior offensive lineman. All right, we got Grant Bricks. We've got the redshirt freshman out of Hawaii, who was one of the top players coming out of Hawaii, 330 pounds a day, stepped on campus, 4-star. Another interior offensive lineman. You know, maybe they can step up and battle for a starting job. If nothing else, they can absolutely add depth along with Justin Evans-Jenkins, Henry Letufsky. So, but we need another offensive lineman. If we bring in another tackle, maybe Gunner goes to guard, Gunner Gatula. Maybe Gunner battles it out with Pritchett and whoever the other tackle is if we bring one in. Maybe it's a guard that comes in. We can't be done yet with molding this offensive line. And hopefully there's some positive surprises along the way as well. All right, final grades for the offensive side of the ball. Jake, what would you give? And let's throw the specialists. You know, let's do special teams first. Shouldn't take long. And then let's go to the offensive side of the ball. What grade would you give our special teams transfer portal players?
Well, I love what the additions that they made. Obviously, Gaelic and McAllister, you get a proven punter to come in here and at least compete with Camden Cook, probably take that job, right? And then they had long snap issues. So, I mean, pretty close to an A+ as far A+ as far, but, you know, A type of grade because they filled the needs they needed.
I'm just gonna say A. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead to the offensive side there.
The offensive side, again, I do have concerns a little bit at running back. I feel like you could probably bring in another running back, make you feel better about that position. As you mentioned, I mean, if you get Pete, it's hard to argue. I mean, I'll throw my running back thing aside and just say what a great job because to get the two type of wide receivers that they did in Hunter and Key is absolutely huge, especially considering what they're losing. But again, there's just a few spots. Tight end, could they maybe add there? So there's a few spots that you think maybe they could still add additions to, but the backup quarterback thing that you hinted on earlier. So I'd go as far as a B+ here.
Jeremiah Jones was the player we almost lost on signing day. All right. So Would you say B plus?
Yeah.
If you look at just the skill guys, I mean, we're talking B plus, A minus, A, just the skill guys. Even without bringing a running back in, without bringing another running back in, there's something that we don't know for them to not even have a visit with anybody. And it's something I got to assume is in the direction of being good. So I'm gonna put some trust in Rule and Holgerson when it comes to why there hasn't even been a visit from a running back. When you just look at the skill position players, I mean, I'm good with giving it an A. But here's the deal. The offense puts butts in the seats. Defense wins games. The trenches wins championships. And we have not been good in the offensive line for a long time. I'm sick and tired of using the word potential. I said that going into last year. I used the word expectations, and we were not consistent. Up and down. The Wisconsin game was phenomenal, but 2 up and down, 2 inconsistent. I'm going to put it at a flat B offensively because that's how much I weight how important being solid up front in the trenches is. And a B plus didn't even occur to me. It was B or B minus, in my opinion. I love our skill guys. I love the depth in the quarterback room. I love the competition this is going to create. I'm going to trust them when it comes to the running back situation. Somebody has got to step up on this O-line. This isn't 7-on-7. This is 11-on-11, blue collar, in your face, Big Ten, smash mouth tackle football. It starts up front. I'm going to go with a B because I do think we're going to add an offensive lineman before we're done and the season gets here. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully that person can be here for spring ball. Hopefully there's some surprises in that room. All right. We'll see what happens with Prohaska and Corcoran as they come back from multiple injuries now. But for me, I'm going to go with a B, and I feel like that's a fair grade. I feel like it's being kind. A couple things I should mention. There's more offensive linemen out there than this. But outside of Pete, the top one that may be available is Daniel King out of Troy, interior offensive lineman. All right. This is a guy who would be an immediate boost for whatever team he joins. 6'5", 240 pounds. He's visited North Carolina, second team all Sun Belt, 23 and 24. Played over 2,600 snaps. Okay. 1,906 of those were pass blocks. Only allowed 9 sacks out of 1,396 pass blocks, only 9 sacks. Okay. He's played mostly right tackle, right guard, a team captain. All right, and rated the 72nd overall player in the portal. Now, Washington State former offensive lineman Roderick Talavea, 6'5", 321 pounds, played in 12 games last year, played in 13 games. 2 years ago was 12. Last year was 13, starting 10. He played left guard, a pass blocking grade of 56.9, a run blocking grade of 50.8. All right, now, if you just listen to that, King is absolutely the better of those 2 players. But those are a couple of possibilities that are out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, if you want to play Carriker's Trivia Challenge, give them the number to call, Jake.
402-464-5685.
Simply call in. We'll have a little bit of fun, and you get a $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you're sick of catering from the same places every month, it's time to switch things up. Mulberry Barbecue is perfect for business lunches and dinners, family gatherings, holiday parties, wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, and so much more. Delivery and full service options are available, and they can cater for anything from 10 people to 500 people. Call them at 402-937-7114 to hear their menu options and get your catering booked today. Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road. At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Newcastle takes on Bournemouth at 6:30 a.m., followed by Brentford versus Liverpool at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal takes on Aston Villa at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Everton faces Tottenham at 8 a.m., followed by Ipswich Town versus Man City at 10:30 a.m. You can catch all these games and more at McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henry's at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to segment 2 of the Adam Carriker Show. This segment is brought to you by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue at 11th and Cornhusker, open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burn-in sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, a full slab of ribs, a half-smoked chicken, and much, much more, plus incredible sides. Get fuel for lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, located at 11th and Cornhusker. And I've been told that we have someone who would like to play Carriker's Trivia Challenge on the line. Who do we got, Jake?
That's right. We have Travis.
How's it going, Travis?
Hey, good, Adam.
I appreciate you calling in. Have you studied up? Have you prepped? Are you ready to go?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't. Let's go, Jake. What is the topic, by the way?
College football. There's, of course, coming up a championship game here on Monday. So I like to go back and look at some of the stats throughout the history of these schools, and we'll see how well you guys know Notre Dame and Ohio State. All right. Let's get this thing going.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with Travis, and then we will jump over to Adam to get his score. Travis, you can't get too wrong. These are either or questions. All right, let's start with this. More career rushing yards at the Ohio State University. Yes, you have to say the Ohio State University. Ezekiel Elliott or Eddie George?
Eddie George.
It is actually Ezekiel Elliott who had more career rushing yards. How about more career passing yards at Notre Dame? Would it be Jimmy Clausen or Brady Quinn?
I'm going to go Jimmy Clausen.
It is actually Brady Quinn in this case.
That's a really tough one, I thought. I genuinely didn't know that one.
How about more career receiving touchdowns at Ohio State, the Ohio State? Terry Glenn or Chris Carter?
Chris Carter.
It is Chris Carter, so you did get a point there.
I feel like you used that the week of the Ohio State game. I remember Chris Carter being in a question from that week.
Oh, yeah. Some of these are probably testing how well you could remember some of these things.
Recycling. All right. Did he get one or two?
He got one.
All right. Here we go.
And yeah, when we did the Ohio State game, I generally do the top of the charts, like who has the most career. This is just more because we've already been through.
I definitely remember that Chris Carter one. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I like to sneak Chris Carter in there. I like Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Surprised I didn't sneak Ted Ginn Jr. in here because he's one of my favorite players of all time. Let's go to, all right, you need to get one of these here, Adam, at least to get to the tiebreaker. More career receiving yards at Notre Dame. Is it Tim Brown or Jeff Samardzija?
Jeff Samardzija.
It is Jeff Samardzija, meaning that if you get one of these next two questions,
More than the
you'll be
Heisman
winning.
Trophy winner. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
More career rushing yards at quarterback for Ohio State. Would that be J.T. Barrett or Braxton Miller?
They both got hurt throughout their careers, but I feel like J.T. Barrett played more snaps because Braxton didn't finish. I think they go to wide receiver at the end, too. I'm going to go with J.T. Barrett.
It is actually Braxton Miller.
Overthought that one way too much. Gosh dang it. All right.
All right, so here we go. This is more career rushing touchdowns, and it is for the win, Adam. Jerome the Bus Bettis at Notre Dame or Kyron Williams, current Rams star running back who went to Notre Dame.
Kyron Williams.
It's Jerome Bettis.
Oh.
Which means we're going to the tiebreaker.
Hold on. Oh, I had a tiebreaker one and it went away. Oh, I got it. I'm going to flip it on you. And it's because you probably know this. It'll be way too easy. What number draft pick and what year was 10 get drafted and where did he go? You got to get all three parts right. All three parts.
Yeah, I liked him definitely in college. He wasn't great in the pros.
Oh, so I finally got you.
Yeah.
Okay, get two of the
was
3
he
parts.
like the 10th pick?
Nope.
No?
9.
All right, well.
This is fun.
Again, I can't even remember where he started his career at. Man, this is bad.
Miami,
okay.
All right. What year?
That would have been 2007, right?
Yeah, my year. That's how I know all this, because he came out in my year.
Okay.
All right, we're going to let Travis win. How about that, Travis?
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, good job, Travis. Thanks for joining.
There he goes.
I don't think he knew what to make of that. So am I technically 7-2-1 now? Is that what that is?
You want to call that a tie?
Is that a tie? I'm not going to let you
It
lose
is a
it
tie,
for me.
yeah.
I don't want you to lose it for me. We're going to go 7-2-1. We're going to go with that.
We get a tie.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of Nebraska basketball on both ends, then volleyball, then we'll head to break. All right. Did you happen to watch either one of these games last night, by the way, Jake?
Oh, I watched the men's game, and it was incredible, just the talent on that Rutgers team, specifically Ace Bailey.
I was surprised.
Man.
I'm like, they're 9-8. With all due respect, it's Rutgers.
Yeah.
We got an early lead, and then the rest of the game happened. I was genuinely surprised by that. All right, credit to Rutgers. I thought they played really, really well. You got any final thoughts before I dive in real quick, Jake?
Again, Ace Bailey is going to be an incredible basketball player in the NBA. Dylan Harper leads the Big Ten in scoring, so that's what they've got going on there. You know, it's a hard fought battle, and I know a lot of people are upset because Nebraska lost, but you know that's what some of these games are. They're going to come down to a few possessions. They got the better of a few. Nebraska scrapped, fought, and even hit a shot late that was going to try to extend the game, but at some point it just felt like the better players made the bigger plays.
Oh, that statement hurts. You know why? Because it feels true. The better players just made the big. That hurts. Now I do think if we played them again, I mean, we would be the favorites again, just like we were going in. But hey, they came into our house, ended our 20-game home win streak. I mean, it's a tough one. All right. And then when you see the record of 9-8, now they're 10-8. It's a tough one. All right. But you look at Rutgers, what they did is they won it in the paint, points in the paint. They outscored us 40-30. They won the game by 3 points. They won it in the paint. They outshot us technically. Okay, 49.3% field goal percentage to our 45.2, but that's not a gargantuan difference. You look at the three-point shooting percentage, they made 41.4% of theirs. We made 40.9. The difference was in the paint. That's where, to me, they won the game. It wasn't like some gargantuan mistake on our part, or they went off the wall and did something they don't typically do. They just won the battle by double digits. 40-30, they outscored us in the paint. They ended up winning the game by 3 points. Hopefully, Nebraska can bounce back from a couple of tough losses. Now, Nebraska women's basketball goes into Iowa City, beats the Hawkeyes, and ended our 6-game losing streak versus them. Obviously, if you remember, this is a rematch of the Big Ten Tournament Championship game from a season ago. This was a fun game to watch. All right, we had a decent lead early on. Then they had a decent lead. And with 6 minutes to go, they were up by 11. And if you were in the Carriker house last night, you would have seen my 5 little girls all around the television screen. And they were into that game like you would have thought it was the NBA Finals Game 7 or WNBA Finals Game 7. It was a big deal in the Carriker house. Britt Prince has another big game. She scored a career-high 24 when they played Rutgers. About a week ago, she scores 22 last night. 5 of 6 from the free throw stripe. All right, 6 of 18 shooting from the field as well. Nebraska had, I feel like where we won this game was the 3-point shooting. We made 43% of our three-pointers. They made 29. That is a large difference. Okay, you look in the paint. They dominated the paint 40-26. So they wanted to play down low. We wanted to, hey, you're going to leave us open. We're going to drain it. To me, the difference, though, was the clutch gene late. Like Alexis Markowski fouls out. That is your team leader. Now what happens? You watch her on the bench, and she was leading from the bench. There's no way she had more of an impact from the bench, but her impact in the game was felt just as much from the bench with the way she was leading the team, and everybody else around her stepped up. It's kind of one of those situations. Like with a football team, sometimes quarterback goes down, everybody else on the team knows they've got to step it up. And we've seen football teams do that. That's what I felt like Nebraska women's basketball team did last night. They made the clutch open shots when they had to. Everybody stepped up. I mean, Markowski played a great game to begin with until she fouled out. And it was the clutch gene at the right time. And don't forget, Iowa had an open three as the buzzer hit to end overtime, and they missed. So shout out to Nebraska women's basketball for getting the big time win last night in Iowa City. And they're doing some good things. All right. 14-4 overall, 5-2 in the Big Ten, won 4 straight Big Ten conference games at this point. Now, this is, and I don't know if I'm going to say this individual's name right. I'm going to do my best. This is via X, Lev Akabas. I hope I did that name justice. All right, UConn women's basketball and Nebraska women's volleyball are the 2 women's college teams to eclipse $2 million in ticket sales for the most recent season due to our Sportico database. All right, that was the tweet that he put out. And then he followed that up with Nebraska women's volleyball generated $2.57 million in ticket revenue in 2022 to 2023, which was more, I read this earlier, than nearly 24 Power Conference men's basketball teams. And obviously, former Nebraska volleyball coach Terry Pettit saw this. He put out a lengthy Facebook post, and you can go check it out. I was going to read the whole thing, but check it out on Facebook. Give Terry Pettit a follow on Facebook. I mean, he does some great breakdowns. I've watched his stuff. That's why I brought him on the show a few weeks ago. He broke down a lot of games throughout the NCAA volleyball tournament. He would talk about Nebraska. He talked about the other teams as well. Go check out his post. I'd love to read the whole thing. But to be honest with you, I'd have to rush through it and it wouldn't be doing it justice. So if you're interested, go check it out on Facebook. He does a great job of breaking a lot of things down. And could basically every year since 2014, all right, this is what he put at the end. Nebraska volleyball's made money with the exception of the COVID year. All right, 2014 lost 156, but in 2015 made 557,000, 2016 451, and then 2017, 18, 19, 20. I mean, they're making 6 to 7 figures as far as what the revenue they're generating. And he talks about how NIL is going to be different and how it's going to impact volleyball and how the head coach is going to have to help raise funds. I've spoken with people who are very familiar with what Nebraska's doing in their NIL, and they brought up Ryan Day of Ohio State and how Ohio State spent $20 million and how Chip Kelly came in, took over the offense. They've got a D corner who just took over the defense, and Ryan Day essentially had to turn into not only the CEO of a business, which I've talked about Matt Rule and every college football coach having to do, he had to turn into a fundraiser. And he's like, imagine what happens, okay, and I'll just keep this individual's name out of it. I don't think it's some sort of big secret. I just didn't ask if I could share his name. He goes, imagine if I call to raise money for our NIL, and then Ryan Day calls, or if you're a Nebraska potential donor, Matt Rule gets on the phone and calls with you. This is now part of the head coach job if you're at a major college football program. It's becoming the same thing with basketball programs and volleyball programs, and that's what Coach Pettit kind of outlines here. Here's my thoughts as to why Nebraska has been able to generate revenue when it's been tough for other women's sports programs to do so. And if you'll notice, I go out of my way to talk about other sports. All right, not just football. I go out of my way because I want to. Nobody's told me to or asked me to talk about women's sports. Now, if I'm being honest with you, part of that is I got 5 daughters running around my house, okay? And my son is our oldest kid. But to me, football is going to get the most attention. It makes the most money. People may not want to hear that, but it is what it is, okay? But there's other people out there who are busting their butt, who are very talented. And the airtime that I'm given, I want to talk football, and I want to talk and shed light on all the Husker sports, including what the women's programs are doing, because I just feel like that's what I want to talk about. I know that's what people will message me. Hey, Adam, talk about more sports, which I've done for years. But I feel like it's the right thing to do because there's so many talented people who deserve to be talked about more often. Men, women, basketball, volleyball. Admittedly, when I brought Coach Manning on yesterday, I didn't get into the details and techniques of wrestling, if you noticed, because I don't know. You got to get out the steel chair and the steel cage in order for me to understand wrestling. Then we can talk. Jake and I can talk great in depth about that kind of wrestling. But as far as what they're doing in college and high school and at the U.S. Olympics, that's not my strong suit. But I still want to talk about them, and I want to bring on people who can talk about them more intellectually than I can when it comes to those certain sports. And just a reminder, football, basketball, baseball, that was my life growing up. And then lifting. All right. That was my life. That is what I did. Those are things that I love talking about in general. But as far as why Nebraska volleyball has been able to be so successful at generating revenue, all right, it's a couple of things. Number one, the longevity of success. That always helps. Why do you think UConn women's basketball is in this conversation as well? All right, now they didn't generate a profit a year ago like Nebraska women's volleyball did, as successful as that program's been. But a longevity of success, a passionate fan base. And people are like, oh, you're so biased when you talk about Husker fans being the best. I try to be as unbiased as I can. I don't think I'm ever going to get it completely out. But there's things to back up that we are the best fan base. Okay, volleyball day in Nebraska. Sell out Memorial Stadium. You already got the sellout streak. You sell out Memorial Stadium. Iowa, when they had Caitlin Clark, in my opinion, the single biggest draw on planet Earth when it comes to basketball, men or women. You can argue LeBron James or some of these others. I think Caitlin Clark in popularity, there's some things recent that have, divided some people, but as a general whole, she's as popular as any basketball player walking the face of God's green earth. They tried to do the same thing with the Iowa women's basketball inside the Iowa football stadium. And they did great. I think it was like 61,000 people they had, but not even close to a sellout. So Nebraska volleyball has a longevity of success, a passionate fan base unlike any other, and a bright future. You have a reason to believe, you have fans who are invested, and you have a reason to stay tuned. And to me, that's what helps Nebraska volleyball, in my humble opinion, so much. Did I miss anything before we go to break, Jake?
No, I don't think so. It just always reminds me of volleyball at day at Nebraska and how game changing and just great that was to put Nebraska fans in the national spotlight.
Unlike anything other. And I'm hoping we sell out at the Bob for the wrestling event tonight. Nebraska wrestling versus Penn State. They take on the number one team in the country. Go get that sold out, Husker fans. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Newcastle takes on Bournemouth at 6:30 a.m., followed by Brentford versus Liverpool at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal takes on Aston Villa at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Everton faces Tottenham at 8 a.m., followed by Ipswich Town versus Man City at 10:30 a.m. You can catch all these games and more at McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Having diabetes doesn't have to ruin your new year. Join a Nebraska-supported program like Living Well with Diabetes. You'll learn how to manage your symptoms, feel more confident, and reduce stress about your diagnosis. Search Nebraska Living Well with Diabetes and click on the DHHS Healthy Living Programs page to learn more. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. As always, check out all things 93.7 The Ticket at theticketfm.com, on the social medias, the tube of you, and wherever you get your podcast platforms as well. You can also follow the Carriker Chronicles, the other show that I do. You can check it out at thecarrikerchronicles.com, YouTube. Simply type in Carriker Chronicles. Now, we're going to look ahead to this week's NFL playoff games. A couple of things before we dive into that. I just want to be clear. The Ohio State player, I already mentioned his name earlier, who got kicked off the team, did not play a snap this year. The thing that caught my eye was TikTok star in the headline, so whatever that means. But, all right, so Andy Jurassic does a great job. Sometimes he'll send me some information that's very interesting. And I know he's listening right now. So, hi, Andy. He's a mechanic. He texted me, something you overlooked is we don't need running backs to run the ball. Last year we used Harburg, Carter Nelson. I'm not a fan of the one Carter Nelson run that we did at the goal line where we tried to jump, and I just don't like jumping over the goal line anyways, but I digress. Barney. I think Barney had 14 sweep carries on the year. I could be wrong on that exact number. And those guys with Ives and EJ, Emmett Johnson in the room has got depth. Andy, you do a great job. I disagree. You still need 3 running backs. Like, you can't just sit here and count on wide receiver sweeps. If Harburg's truly going to be a tight end and you're trusting Dylan to take that next step, you might put Harburg a quarterback every once in a while, but it's not like a year ago when I was trying to figure out a way to make this offense more dynamic, and taking Dylan off the field as a true freshman wasn't a big deal. It should be a situation this year where if you're taking Dylan off the field, you're taking one of your best players off the field, so you don't want to do that. Now, maybe you put Harburg at running back, but he's trying to learn tight end. They're going to do other things with him. So, again, I'm going to respectfully disagree with the man who does a great job, helped me out a lot, does the fan of the week also. Where are they now? Is on the CarrikerChronicles.com website, so shout out to him for that. But I disagree. We need a third running back to step up. I still think there's something we don't know in a positive manner, and I'm trusting the coaches with the depth and the competition in that running back room. All right, Jake, we got some NFL playoff games this weekend. We better go fairly quickly. Who do we got? Well, I know what we got. What are the spreads?
All right, let's start with Saturday. Houston at Kansas City. The Chiefs are favored by 8.
Who do you got? Give your prediction first.
I've got Kansas City. I think it's until I see otherwise. After a great regular season, they've got to be close to the favorites to win 3 in a row.
The spread is 8.5. I do feel like that's being kind. I genuinely thought the Chargers would beat the Texans. Clearly, I was wrong, and that was a blowout. Of all the teams that are remaining that are left, I think the Texans or Commanders would generally be looked at as the, how do I put this, least strong out of all those teams, but you're pretty good if you made it this far in the playoffs. If the Texans played the Commanders, I would pick the Commanders. I don't know what the spread would be. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They're a beast in the playoffs. I didn't even think they were that good a year ago, and then they got to the playoffs. Remember, Patrick Mahomes had never played in a road playoff game until last year. And then he had to win multiple ones on route to winning a Super Bowl. There's just something different about them in the playoffs. All right. And yes, we can make the joke about the Chiefs and the refs are going to be unbeatable. Go ahead. I'm fine with it. But I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I'm going to take them to cover the 8.5 spread. All right. Who's next?
Commanders, you mentioned them. They head to Detroit, who we'll see if Kansas City and Detroit, by the way, have that rust that we saw in the college football playoff. But Detroit is favored by 9.5 for Saturday night's game.
I don't worry about rust so much because you don't have 23 and a half days off or whatever. It's just a regular bye week. I have always wondered if the bye week helped or hurt teams beyond just, you don't have to play the extra game. You can get your banged up guys a little bit more healthy. But there is something to be said for, hey, we just played in the playoff game. You didn't. And I've said it. There's a level in the preseason. There's a level in the regular season. There's a playoff level. And I've never played in the Super Bowl, but there's a level in the Super Bowl that people have told me about. And it's not on purpose. It's just human nature to get ramped up to a certain level. Like you play a certain rivalry here at Nebraska, like you walk Colorado onto that field for me, I'm going to be extra amped. No disrespect to I don't know, Troy or something like that. I'm always amped, but it's going to be a different level, and that's just human nature. I think Detroit gets the win. The only thing that makes me concerned about Detroit at all is the 4,000 injuries they've had this year. Okay. If they're healthy, I'm picking them to win it all. I still think they're going to get to the Super Bowl, although if they play the Eagles in the NFC title game, we'll see what happens there. Jared Goff. This dude has the most amount of touchdown passes in the past 2 years in the NFL. Second in passing yards this year. Fourth in TD passes with 37 this year. Second in yards per attempt, 8.6. Second in passer rating, 111.8. Sixth in QBR, 68.5. Third in drop back EPA, 0.267. First in drop back success rate, which is 53.6. He's one of the best quarterbacks. Excuse me, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, the way he's been playing this year. I'm going Lions. Commanders cover. Since it's 9.5.
Yeah, I like that. Let's go to Sunday's action. Then the Rams and the Eagles. This will be 2 p.m. on Sunday. Eagles favored by 6.5.
Who you got?
I like all the favorites this week. I know it's not a fun way to go about things, but I think these are the best teams that have been playing in football all year long and in the NFL, and so I like the Eagles here.
The Rams played great on Monday night. The Vikings, and going back to the Lions, they played in a playoff game. That playoff game, week 18, Sunday night, to get the number 1 seed against the Vikings was a playoff game. So they're going to have already played in a game like that this year recently. When it comes to the Rams, they played great. All right, versus the Vikings, I did not buy into the Vikings 14 wins on the year. All right, I know people want to crap all over Sam Darnold. I thought he was fine. The Vikings had a lot more issues besides just Sam Darnold, who did struggle that night as well. I don't know, like him getting sacked 6 times in the first half might have been an issue. But I don't think they're going to duplicate that. I think they were riding an emotional wave. And I think the Vikings maybe had a letdown after losing in week 18, not getting the number 1 seed, going to the 5th seed, had a letdown after getting destroyed after that game, going into the playoffs. I'm going to take the Eagles. who may be the best all-around team in football and definitely have one of the best defenses. All right. I know the last game we got, but go ahead, Jake.
That'll be Baltimore and Buffalo Sunday night. Baltimore favored by 1. I like the Ravens to cover, if you will, and win.
Baltimore's favored now. When I first looked, it was the Bills.
I double-checked. The latest side that I saw was Buffalo and Baltimore.
Oh, I haven't looked since like Monday. So you're probably right. And the other thing I saw was some ESPN online poll, which had 51% of people thought the Bills were going to win, which I just attributed to the home field advantage. 49% thought the Ravens. Do you think this could be the best divisional round playoff game ever?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean,
potentially,
it feels like, yeah.
Was it the Bills and the Oilers? When the Bills came back from being down 32 points, the biggest comeback in NFL history, at least at that point in time. Was that a divisional game? I mean, I'm talking like early 90s.
Yeah.
One of their 4 straight Super Bowl runs. All right. Go ahead and look that up. Let me know. But you got probably the top 2 MVP candidates, and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson here. The first ever playoff matchup between 2 quarterbacks with over 40 touchdowns, but fewer than 10 combined turnovers. By the way, the Ravens and the Bills, you know how evenly matched this is? They have the same exact point differential on the season. They've each won their games by an average of 9.2 points per contest. I'm going to take the Ravens, and it is not because of Lamar Jackson. It is because, and one of the reasons I really like the Eagles is Saquon Barkley, by the way. It's because of Derrick Henry. Teams can't just focus in on Lamar Jackson in the playoffs like they used to be able to. You have got, first of all, the Ravens always have a million Heisman Trophy winners in their backfield, from Mark Ingram to RG3 to Lamar to Henry now. I think Henry keeps the defense on their toes enough that it opens up passing lanes. And that's why the Ravens win what I think is going to be a phenomenal game. Did you figure out?
It's a wild card game.
It was a wild card game. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Jake?
Well, I heard you take that shot at Troy. I went back and looked. You played Troy twice in your career.
That's why it popped in my
head. And you beat him a combined 86-0. So I imagine what would happen if you guys were really amped for this game.
So the first time we shut him out, Bo Pelini was our DC, and at halftime we're killing him. He goes, "I want the mother effing shutout," and he's like yelling at us, and we ended up getting it. He was pretty happy.
Nice.
So, anyways, all right. Have a great weekend. Go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the ball. I'm glad you looked that up. Thanks.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best club